Dave mentioned Legos. Our next storyteller, Karyn Traphagen, loves Legos. Ask her about Legos at the break. Karyn I met practically in this space a couple years ago for Science Online 2010, 2011, I think, Karyn. Karyn joined Bora Zhivkovic and myself in organizing that annual conference. And what Bora and I have learned about Karyn is that every day we're learning something new about her. Karyn is now serving as the executive director of Science Online. She's become a very good friend. And literally every time I talk with her, every time we share documents, I'm finding something new about her. She writes a blog called Stay Curious. She's been a physicist and an educator. And tonight she's our storyteller. Karyn? I'm okay. I have a story about that.
I have a story about that. So this afternoon, Anton asked to see my deck of slides. Anton asked to see my deck of slides, and he thought it was great. It was a red herring. I'm really just going to tell a story about everything I know about Bora and Anton. What I am going to talk to you about is really starting off with what the night is called Talk Story. We lived in Hawaii for a little while, and I'm so glad that Anton named tonight Talk Story. Really, all that is, it's a phrase in Hawaii that basically means chatting, gossiping, shooting the breeze, just, hey, let's get together and talk story. It's really a way to connect. It's a way of life. It's what you do on a lazy aloha afternoon. And so right now we're sitting up here, but it's kind of one way. So I really hope that during the break and at the end, when we're all done with our part, that you'll come and track us down and talk story with us, and we'll get some more going. So when we lived in Hawaii, I remember feeling very distanced from our family and our friends who were on the mainland, and it was really hard to be isolated like that. However, one thing that was a really good anchor for keeping us tied to family was my mother's correspondence. Now you have to understand, my mother is a little crazy about mail. Whenever we lived far away, whenever I was in Hungary or Venezuela or even St. Louis, she took on a personal mission to flood my mailbox with daily missives. She would write to us, and we got more mail than anybody in the world. And it was great wherever we went. So she carried this forward when we were in Hawaii, and we had lots and lots of mail from my mother. Now, while all of the mail that we got from her was welcomed, it was never profound. My mother would basically write things like, "Dear Karyn, we had Jell-O for lunch. It was red." So I'm gonna try, if we can get some light here. I'm gonna try and read. These are a few of her notes. I'm gonna try and give you a little flavor. Dear Karyn, how do you like this jazzy paper? It's purple. Today they had a few inches of snow in the high peaks of the Adirondacks. Barbara came to Briarwood this morning to take blood from me. The new Family Dollar store is working on building. Right now they are putting in 2 large doors. Maybe it will be open by Thanksgiving. Tonight we had pineapple chunks for dessert. I like pineapple slices and chunks. I do not like crushed pineapple. I found some cute animals for Amy's birthday. This goes on for 8 pages. Sometimes multiple times in a day. And she didn't stop there. She took it really very, very seriously. This was her mission. So she would actually do things like, for weeks, tease us. I have this super secret thing that's coming in the mail to you. Better watch out. This is dangerous. I went to the post office, the island post office, And of course, by this point, we have a reputation with the Island Post Office. But anyway, so there's a soggy padded envelope. And inside the padded envelope is a glass vial with a stopper in the top, completely wrapped in saran wrap. And it had a soggy letter with it. I'll read you the letter. Congratulations! You're the winner of the December Day Brightener Award. You asked for snow. I promised you snow. That's exactly what you got, snow. I just didn't tell you what state it would be in. As you can tell, it's in the liquid state. It was snow when I put it in the bottle. This is the best part. If you carefully put it in the freezer and watch it carefully, it will turn back to its original form. Love, Mom. And I think she was probably serious. But you know what? It was fun getting these things, and we actually did respond. We weren't just takers. We gave back, so we would send back mail to her, and she, oh my goodness, got thrilled by these things. And then we got even worse letters, like this. If you look at this, I don't think you can read it. It says wow, and she's got those little arrows going on, and it says, "This is me jumping up and down because I'm so happy." Okay, this is my mother. Although I have to confess, I'm following in her footsteps. Anyway, she says, "What's better than getting one piece of mail from Molokai? Getting 2 pieces of mail from Molokai. Before you went to Hawaii, I didn't really realize how great a joy it was to receive letters and packages. It's just great. It's almost a hug. Close, but not quite. Actually, it's a long-distance hug." So, you know, it was just really very, very sweet to get to know her and doing all these things. And it was just really wonderful that she did all these things. A couple years after that, she developed a very serious blood disease, and we knew that it was terminal, and we knew that we weren't going to see her out through the year. So I was living in another state, and it was about 9 hours away from where she lived, and I had a job. I couldn't go up. I didn't know what I was going to do. I couldn't spend a lot of time with her. What was I going to do? I had 2 younger sisters who lived local to where she was, and they did an awesome job handling all the medical logistics and taking her to the appointments and all this kind of stuff. I had another younger sister who works in a pathology lab, and she kept on top of all of the lab reports and helped translate all the doctor's options to my mother. And they just bore the weight of taking care of my mom's medical issues, and they really helped her navigate that medical labyrinth. But I just felt so at a loss. It was such a dilemma for me. I'm the oldest. What was I was supposed to be doing something. What was my role? What was my niche in taking care of my mom during this last part of her life? So I decided that I would do for her what she had done for me. And what I did was I wrote a note to her, and I said, especially because of everything you've done for me in Hawaii, I said, I decided that after all the times you wrote to me that it was my turn, I'm going to send a postcard or note every day, I hope. And I wrote it to her twofold, for her to be able to anticipate and look forward to getting mail, but also as a commitment to me. I've written it down, now I have to do it. And I really didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I felt like this was what I could do for my mom. So it started out simple enough. I would get a postcard, and I would just kind of write down newsy things. Like the whole idea was just, hey Mom, hi, I'm thinking of you, I love you, how's it going? We never talked about the medical stuff. And it very, very, very quickly became evident to me that I was going to have to work really hard at this to come up with a unique postcard every day and something really interesting to say every day, other than, hi, how are you? So I started to, without even thinking of it, look at the pictures on the postcards and try to make up something about those. And it kind of led to remembering what they reminded me of from when I was growing up, and stories about what we had done together and what we had lived through. And so I'm going to just share just a few postcards with you, okay? Dear Mom, this is a picture of an old car. I just sounded like her. I'm sorry. I kind of did that on purpose because that's kind of how she is. Right. Well, this is a picture of an old car. We've had some crazy cars over the year. Remember the Opel Kadett? We had another station wagon too. I remember driving up to a cemetery in Connecticut with a jar of water and an old apple juice bottle. I wrote all this down. And an old apple juice bottle so we could clean the headstone. We made it all the way there with no mishap. Then, when the back door was open, the bottle rolled out and broke on the ground, spilling all the water. Love, Karyn. Hi, Mom. Well, oops. I lost my picture. I can't resist. Say, I actually do have these postcards here. I didn't make this up. I couldn't resist this postcard. I think all 4 girls at some point looked like this. We have a photo of Hannah, my daughter, like this. And we even have a photo of little Ava, Hannah's daughter, like the, with spaghetti all over herself. Thanks for all the messes that you cleaned up for us. I love you, Karyn. Hi, Mom. I rode my bike to the grocery store on my way to work. I got some yogurt for lunch. Notice the food. It made me think of how our food taste changed. Growing up, I never ate yogurt. Remember how we had powdered milk all the time? Yuck. I remember one day when I wouldn't eat my oatmeal because it had powdered milk in it. I went to school with a note that said, Karyn was late to school today because she wouldn't eat her oatmeal. That was a true story. That was a crazy note to take to the principal's office. Love, Karyn. Now, this was like, I don't know how many decades later. I was kind of, passively letting her know I did not forget that she made me go to school. Anyway, so these were the kinds of postcards that were a daily part of our life. And it was just about sharing silly things. Now, there were some unintended consequences of this whole project, or you might want to call them serendipitous results. First off, I was working in the physics department at the University of Virginia, so while I was at work, I often was writing these postcards, and then I would take them up to the administrative office, and I'd put them in our outgoing mail, and just would do that. Well, one day I was going up to drop off one of the postcards, and the mail clerk happened to be retrieving the mail the same time that I was dropping off the thing. He said, "Wait a minute, hey, are you the one that's writing those postcards to your mom?" Oh my gosh. I'm like, what departmental rule have I broken? Personal postcards in the, I had no idea what I was doing. But then he said, "Oh, no, I really love what you're doing. I've been reading them all, and they're great." So this is really, novel idea to me that other people are reading my postcards. I mean, it's not like rocket science because they're not in an envelope, but I just never thought that people were actually reading. But it actually led to a great conversation about life and death and family and memories. And I really think that he got inspired to, oh, that's such a great idea. Maybe that's something I could do at some point. So that's what he walked away with it. I walked away thinking, who's reading my postcards? And then the second thing that happened that was really a surprise was that my younger sister, who lived near my mom, was reading the postcards with my mom, and she told me that she was hearing stories that she never had heard before in these postcards. There's a gap of years, and she said, I was too young to experience or remember a lot of those things, and I never knew those things. And that was news to me too, that the things that I was writing were important stories. It wasn't just mundane, newsy stuff. I was actually communicating and carrying on a tradition. That was my first recognition that me, am a repository of stories, and I need to use that to share the history with the next generation of our family, and that it's not just silly little stories, it's actually really important stuff to communicate. So those were two kind of unusual things that happened while we were going through this whole time. So the very last postcard that I wrote is this postcard. And I ended up hand delivering it to what would become her deathbed. And all four sisters were together. And I hadn't planned this to be the last postcard. It just kind of happened that way. But it's really kind of profound that it ended up having the content on it that contains one of the most important things that my mother instilled in the four girls. Hi, Mom. Well, this is a hand-delivered card. Here we all are together. What fun for four sisters to be remembering all the wonderful times we've had together. You always said that friends will come and go, but we'll always have our family. You were right. Thanks for teaching us to love one another. I love you, Mom. Karyn. And then she was gone. Somehow, after she died, it felt really strange to not have to be looking for postcards every day and to be thinking about what I needed to write. And it was that very act of doing that that made me realize the reality of her passing. That's what made her death real to me, was that I'm not writing postcards anymore. It was a very strange feeling. But a wonderful thing happened the Christmas after my mother died. My sister had taken all the postcards that my mother had saved that I had sent her. In fact, she had saved just about every single postcard I had ever written to her. And my sister took them and organized them and put them into this album and gave it to me. And it's wonderful. It's such a treasure. I didn't even remember all the things that I had written to my mom. So it was great going back. I also realized that I started 50% of the postcards with the word well. Well, today I went, well, I don't know why, but that's what I did. So this is really a great album because now it's not just a memory of what I did with my mom. But now it sits on a shelf, and when people want to hear stories about our family, it's a story starter. We can just go to one of the pictures, one of the postcards, and the little kids in our family look at it and say, tell me what that was about. Tell me the rest of that story. That is so cool. And it's great because then you already have something to start. So what I would really like to do is I would like to challenge you to think about this whole handwriting and postcard kind of thing. You know, I get email all the time. I send and receive hundreds of emails every day, and I'm sure many of you do too. We're attached. And it's great. But there's something still really special about a handwritten note, about a little postcard, about something that somebody's gone to that extra trouble to do. So I'm going to challenge you to think of somebody you can write a postcard to, and I really want you to go ahead and actually do this. So these postcards up here, I brought them with me. I even brought stamps and pens. And when we have the break later and after, you come and find me and you can talk story and pick out your own postcard and carry the tradition forward.